On this week's controversial episode, Austin and Tim travel back in time to February 10th, 1934 to watch a whopping 8 movies, featuring Betty Davis in Bureau of Missing Persons, Flying Down to Rio with Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers in supporting roles, Clive Brooks in Sherlock Holmes, Meet the Baron, which introduces the Three Stooges, James Cagney in the musical Footlight Parade, Sitting Pretty, also with Ginger Rogers, legendary comedy duo Laurel and Hardy in Sons of the Desert, and famed vaudeville comedian Eddie Cantor in Roman Scandals. Pratfalls, sight gags, iconic detectives, ridiculous musical numbers on a gigantic scale, scantily clad women, domestic abuse, and of course, being the 1930s, blackface. Get ready for Film Geek Time Machine!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Film Geek Time Machine. I'm your host, Austin Kennedy.
I'm Tim Kaiser.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm okay.
Yay!
I had to watch a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did. We went back. Our podcast, Film Geek Time Machine. This is the podcast where we go back in time and watch movies from random dates. And this time, we went back in time to February 10th, 1934, and not see any movies that were actually made and it came out in 1934. None of them.
Those shorts. Some of the shorts were new.
So we saw a lot of movies. That's because there's a lot of movies that were shorter, like an hour and 15 minutes. And so we got to see 8 movies, kind of like what we did for the 41
and 3
podcast.
shorts.
Yeah. So there, we actually got to see some cartoons. There were some shorts that we missed.
So everybody, take a bathroom break real quick, because we're going to be here for a fucking while. Okay?
We'll see. Maybe there'll be some movies that we don't remember very well.
Oh, I know I won't. But I'm going to lie. Okay? It's called cheating. And I'm going to act like I remember all kinds of shit. Because nobody's going to watch these things and go like, oh, Tim was wrong. No.
All right, but yeah, so it was kind of exciting to go back to the 30s because we went back to 39 once, and
this is by far the latest, almost 90 years ago.
The earliest one, yeah. So we went back in time, but before, let's go back into the time period. What we got here, so songs from the year that were popular. Let's
there's an ad.
There's an ad. I'll get rid of that
okay.
ad. So
we're not going to know any of these songs.
I don't know,
unless they're in some of these movies.
Well, I'll just say some of the. So Bing Crosby's got some.
We got
songs
Duke Ellington. We got 2 Bings.
Yeah,
at least 2.
Actually, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes.
There's a 3rd Bing down there.
I know that song, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes.
Oh, here we go. Flying Down to Rio.
Fred Astaire. There you go. But yeah, Smoke Get in Your Eyes. That sounds familiar. It's got to be or was it remade maybe too?
I have definitely heard the words before.
Fats Waller. And then popular radio shows that were out. The #1 show was Eddie Cantor's Chasing Sandburn Hour. So he was a popular radio star.
We're going to talk about him later.
We are going to talk about him later. Rudy Valley, Will Rogers had a radio show. Ed Wynn had a radio show. Amos and Andy was still very popular at the time.
That's before it was a TV show where they had to actually get actual black people.
Yeah.
This got 2 racist white guys.
Yes.
Okay.
Burns and Allen, which is cool. The Burns and Allen.
Cool. God damn, in the 30s?
Yeah.
That's
Jack
nuts.
Benny program, the Bing Crosby show, not Benny.
Out of all of these, the one who had the longest career would be Burns.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
George Burns was still doing shit in like late 80s at least.
He was. He did 18 Again, which was 1988, I think. Which one was one of those reversal switcheroos that they made like 8 or 9.
Oh god, that was like 5 a year for a while.
It was like vice versa with Judge Reinhold and Fred Savage,
like father, like son.
Kirk Cameron and Dudley Moore.
They obviously got
big kind of.
We have Freaky
Dream
Friday,
a little dream a little bit.
Other Freaky Friday.
Yeah.
I think there's actually a sequel to the original Freaky Friday.
It was made for television paper. So we're gonna look at the newspaper, which is cool. We're looking at the newspaper. There's a really neat drawing.
That's a really cool drawing
of W.C. Fields and Jimmy Durante. So
it's really nifty.
That was pretty cool.
And then also, it's just a news drawing. It just happens to bring those guys up, and then there's a thing about somebody who shot down 21 enemy planes, and I'm like, why is it all in the same drawing?
I don't know. It's really strange. Okay, so let's take a look at what we got here. So the movies that we have that we didn't see were Man's Castle, All of Me. This is one that I actually kind of wanted to see. We didn't get around to seeing it. Had starred Frederick March and George Raft. But the reason I wanted to see it was there's a short beforehand with Thelma Todd and Patsy Kelly. And they were kind of, there was by Hal Roach, and Hal Roach created Laurel and Hardy. And this was his version. It was a female version of Laurel and Hardy. They wanted to do like a comedy team. Yeah, I have them on DVD.
Oh wow, that sounds cool.
They're really cool. Thelma Todd was in Sitting Pretty as the girl that's trying to break those guys up.
Okay, well, if I remember that of the 19 things I watched.
And then Thelma. This was the second teaming. The first teaming had Zazu Pitts, and Zazu Pitts was in Meet the Baron. She was the love interest.
I don't remember all these people. We watched too many things, Austin.
Okay. Anyways.
Is All of Me a movie where a guy gets the soul of a rich lady and stuck inside of him? That's a different movie with a different comedian.
Yeah.
All kinds of comedies going on there.
There is. Okay. So we didn't see Alice in Wonderland. So we almost saw it. There was Lewis Carroll's.
That was one that we tried, but we couldn't figure it out.
Yep.
I wonder if it's any fun.
Strange Adventure. It's a thriller. That's what the movie's called.
Wow. Wait, is that? I think it's just called Strange Adventure.
Yeah.
And then, a thriller is a description.
Right,
of
that's
the
what
movie.
I meant. Yeah.
And, sure it is.
Christopher Bean, Take a Chance. Maurice Chevalier film, The Way to Love.
You could have seen Oriental Girls.
Okay, that was a burlesque show. Yeah. There's a burlesque show of Oriental Girls. Which would have been...
That's actually going to come up a couple of times, I think, in this episode. The term Oriental.
Yeah. By Candlelight, College Coach, Solitaire Man, Night Flight. These are all movies that we didn't see. Hell and High Water.
There's actually a shit ton of movies, but you know what they did in the 30s?
Dangerous Roads.
They just fucking made movies.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
For sure. Oh, one we didn't see was King of Wild Horses with Rex the Wonder Horse.
That's right. We were trying to pull that one out, too. But, I mean, we ended up seeing so many things. We can't literally see everything.
We had to cut some stuff out. So Havana Widows. Okay, so the ones that we did go see, an 8-movie marathon with some shorts in there. We got Bureau of Missing Persons.
Bureau.
I
said burrow.
Yeah.
Like it was a fucking donkey.
I am not. I'm not good at like saying. I'm not good at like saying stuff like what. I can't. I had a really hard time saying familiar for the longest time. I used to say familiar when I was younger. Burrow.
Okay, on the little tabs up here, you don't really have the shorts.
I don't have the shorts.
Okay.
So Bureau of Missing Persons. I'm just gonna say the features right now, and then.
Okay.
So Bureau of Missing Persons. That's with.
Just I'm sorry, Austin. Can you say bureau?
Bureau.
It's like a cabinet.
So,
okay.
How about
this? It's like a chest of drawers.
So
say the chest of drawers of missing persons.
So
okay.
I say Bureau. No, but so bureau. So like the word beer. Bureau. Got it. Bureau.
Yes. It's like
Bureau of Missing Persons. That's how I'm going to have to say it. Okay. Bureau of Missing Persons. Betty Davis has a supporting role in it. Flying Down to Rio with Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers also in supporting roles. Sherlock.
Fred Astaire's pretty high in that one.
He is, but he's
definitely
a secondary
supporting actor, but he isn't like as secondary as Betty Davis.
Yeah, right.
He doesn't even show up till like half hour into the fucking movie.
Right. Sherlock Holmes, which had Clive Brook as Sherlock Holmes. Meet the Baron, which has all sorts of people, but it also has an early appearance of the Three Stooges.
Yes.
Footlight Parade. James Cagney wanted to...
We have a lot of superstars in these fucking things,
James Cagney, who is popular for gangster films, wanted to break out of the mold and wanted to do something different, so he did a musical. Sitting Pretty with Jack Oakey and Jack Haley, who you might know as the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. Mm-hmm. Sons of the Desert, Laurel and Hardy. I finally get to talk about Laurel and Hardy twice, actually.
Twice, one of the shorts.
And then finally, Roman Scandals, which has Eddie Cantor, which he's the #1 radio star. So Eddie Cantor was a famous vaudeville star, which I've always heard of, and I always seen him being impersonated like in cartoons and stuff because he has really big eyes.
When I saw him, I'm like, oh, I recognize that guy.
Well, it's for his big eyes. His big eyes were characterized.
I don't know if he ever blinks. Okay.
So those are the movies, and I was really looking forward to it. So I love classic comedy. It's kind of one of my specialties because Laurel and Hardy is my big thing that I specialize in is Laurel and Hardy. So I also like to go back, especially silent films, Charlie Chaplin, Harold Lloyd, Buster Keaton. In the 30s, there's some famous comedians like W.C. Fields and Marx Brothers.
I thought we saw a W.C. Fields as an option, but we never got around to. We didn't get to see it.
That was last episode because remember on Christmas Day there was the double feature of Christmas Day.
Oh, that's right.
So we didn't go see that, but yeah, I wouldn't mind.
But that was just at that time it was just showing a really old movie,
right? But the 30s. So I need to see more of those. I've only seen like maybe a handful of W.C. Fields films. I've seen most of the Marx Brothers films, which I'm a big fan of. Mm-hmm. Three Stooges. I don't dislike him as much as I dislike Abbott and Costello. I've never really liked. Thing. Yeah.
I don't hate Laurel and Hardy, but Three Stooges, they're my fucking jam. Okay?
Fine, okay.
So we're going to talk about Three Stooges and Laurel and Hardy.
Yay!
So yeah, like I said, hunker down, people. Yeah. We got lots of complaining or praise on occasion.
On occasion.
Occasional praise.
Okay. Bureau of Missing Persons.
Oh, yay!
Okay. So this starts, Pat O'Brien plays a detective.
I don't know if I ever knew who fucking Pat O'Brien was.
Yeah.
The one name I had ever seen before was Betty Davis. Okay.
Right. Yeah, Pat O'Brien, he was pretty popular at the time, and I think he started in some movies with Betty Davis even before this.
This is very early in Betty Davis.
Really early Betty Davis.
Really
Yeah. She was still doing movies at this point, but she wasn't quite the superstar until like a year or two later. Yeah, so it was interesting to see this. So yeah, it's funny when they introduced the movie. Well, first of all, I got to talk about most of these movies. I don't know what it is about the 30s, but they have really cool titles. Like the titles on these movies, the titles, like the way that this one opens up, it opens up with like a drawer opening up, and then files are showing up.
A couple of them are just like, here's credits.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of them do crazy fancy
shit.
Right.
So like the files are coming out, and then like someone lifts a file up, and then there's like a star of the movie, and I'm like, that's really cool. And
I mean, what was it? We watched
Ladies in Lavender had a really cool title sequence.
That was Ladies in Retired.
Yes.
Ladies in Lavender is a different movie.
It is.
That you looked up last night on the internet, and you needed 20 minutes to rest afterward. Okay.
No, that's a movie with Maggie Smith from like the from the 2000s.
So yes, all of these movies are pre-code movies.
All of them.
So watching these, I was like, okay, this is all pre-code. Let's wait until the pre-code shit. Nothing really pre-code weird.
Well, you know what though? It's funny.
But some of the movies are going to get real weird.
There's no nudity in any of these movies. Flat out nudity.
Oh, there's some real almost nudity in like 5 of them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's not flat out nudity in this movie, but this is probably the most skin on any episode that we've ever done because there's so much skin. In this movie.
Remember the first episode, they kept showing us teenage boobs, okay? And I'm like, stop with the teenage boobs.
But the way this opens up with in this movie is they have they kind of talk about what the Bureau of Missing Persons is, and it's like thousands of people a year go missing, and this is how, so they kind of make it a big deal. And at first, I'm like, I was trying to figure out what kind of tone they were going for. Oh, is this going to be a serious movie? And it's weird because the subject matter is somewhat pretty serious because they're going around trying to find missing people, and sometimes there's suicides, sometimes there's just people trying to get away from their spouses,
runaway kids, all that shit.
Right, but the tone of the film has the breakneck pace of a screwball comedy.
Oh yeah, there are. Let me guess. This movie is 76 minutes long. Yeah. There are 12 plot lines in this movie.
Yeah.
It's like, a new person has disappeared. Well, we gotta go find them.
It's just kind of like the workings of what goes on in this stuff, and then and then towards the end of the movie, one of the plots kind of comes into the limelight, and that's kind of the main plot of the film. But there's a bunch of stuff going on throughout the movie.
Yeah, I mean that is the synopsis. Right. It's the Bureau of Missing Persons in New York City. Yeah. One cop in the beginning.
Well, Pat O'Brien he plays Butch.
He gets transferred.
Yeah, he gets transferred and he goes over there and he doesn't really want to do it because he was from robbery. He was doing robbery stuff.
Yeah.
But he's a hard-nosed guy, and so all he wants to do is he's more of a tough guy. He's just like, I don't want to do this missing person stuff. So he brings this kind of tough guyness, cop, whatever, dirty cop pretty much.
Yeah, real aggressive dickhead cop.
Yeah,
and
of course.
The captain is like trying to like wean that off him a little bit.
Yeah. And that the captain is played by Lewis Stone. I gotta say, I really liked
The
him.
captain was cool.
He was awesome. I love Lewis Stone in the film.
I liked the actor and
the character.
Of the characters.
Oh, the character's
in
great.
this, I'm like, oh, that guy was good. That Pat O'Brien character, piece of shit even until the end. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolute piece of garbage.
I kind of had fun watching that piece of shit character.
It does end with like he beats up a woman.
Oh my
at the end.
God! I kind of.
I know. I knew watching. I'm like, Austin's gonna have some inappropriate laughter
I
on
sure
numerous times in this
did.
episode.
I sure did.
Because God damn it, he beat her up, and then I understand it was done as a gag because she was like, what happened? And I'm like, you got beat up by a big grumpy old man, man. You should press charges.
That's okay. That's okay. A woman beats up a guy later on.
Oh yes, yeah. And I will admit, that one I actually laughed at.
Me too. Yeah.
Well, I know because I know what happened in.
Right.
So you couldn't see what was happening while watching any Laurel and Hardy
because
of the constant laughter.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, and then so Betty Davis shows up like halfway through the movie, saying, like, I'm looking for my husband, and right away Pat O'Brien's just like, hey baby, just come with me.
I have a girlfriend, but I don't care.
No,
and then she finds out that she actually was looking for her husband, and he's still constantly hitting on her.
Yeah.
It finds out later on she's not married and all that shit, but still.
Oh, his wife. Well, yeah, his wife.
Don't hit on the married lady, okay?
Right. So he gets really skeevy on her too, and like really comes on strong, where you could almost say that it's almost assault, where he's approaching Betty Davis.
That happens in every one of these movies, where people get real skeevy on women.
Yeah. Well, it's the 30s, I guess. It's the
30s.
It's the 30s.
Crime was totally fine.
But then there's a lot of twists and turns because Betty Davis isn't really who she says she is, and then so someone's looking for her. There's a murder involved.
She's like a witness to a murder,
right?
Or like a witness to like the discussion of a murder.
But
this is the equal of talking about something from 8 months ago.
Well, then
because there was so many fucking things we watched.
Well, people think that she was that she was involved with the murder and stuff like that. So Pat O'Brien's trying to get her off, but yeah. Anyways, that's kind of the premise of the film. I actually enjoyed this movie. I liked it. I liked the style of the film. I liked the screwball comedy nature of it. I like it that it showed little, like for the first half of the film, it's just showing little glimpses of things, of people. All the character actors and stuff that are going on are funny. They kind of have like a funny comic tone to it, like a screwball comedy. And I enjoyed all the inner workings of how the Bureau of Missing Persons work. Pat O'Brien, it's funny, he's not a likable character in this movie, but I enjoyed how unlikable he was. I was just laughing at just the shit he was saying, and he pretty much shouts all his lines. He's like, hey, baby, let's go over here.
It's not the worst thing in the world.
But I got a kick out of it.
I don't appear to have liked this anywhere near as much as you.
No, okay? I thought it was fun. No, is this one of the great movies from the 30s? No, but I thought it was a really entertaining film. Yeah, the ending of the movie, as you were saying before, there's this running gag of his wife keeps coming to Pat O'Brien's wife.
I thought it was just his girlfriend.
No, it's his wife,
okay.
and he wants
that's right.
He wants an annulment.
She's like married to at least 2 people though.
Right, but he doesn't know that.
Yeah.
So he comes in and she comes in and it's like, I want my allowance. It's like, just get out of here.
She's a full scamster.
Yeah, and then you find out later. He finds out at the very end that she's married. So he's like, oh, you're not my wife. And so she comes in and she's like, hey, I want my allowance. He's like, yeah, come with me. And he brings her to the room and you hear a bunch of slapping and breaking glass. And he walks out. She's all on the ground and her hair is all messed up and it's played for laughs and that's the end of the movie. And I got a big kick.
I know.
Like, that.
I was sitting here
Absolutely,
watching.
That's right.
But
yeah.
Austin Kenny is me laughing at this combination wife abuse and police abuse. Okay, at the same time, and I'm like, oh,
right.
This movie was unoffensive until then, and then it went double offensive.
Yeah.
Okay?
And the romance between Pat O'Brien and Betty Davis, it's not convincing or anything like that. So, but I enjoyed the film. It's a 3 for me.
I'm gonna go with a 1.5.
Oh wow. Okay.
I was like a 2, but I thought, and that end thing only brings it down by half a star.
Yeah.
Because whatever, this is nowhere near the most offensive thing that's gonna happen in this episode.
I guess not.
Not even close. Oh boy, it's going to be a little while until we get to it. It's going to destroy all the other offensiveness. Okay?
I think I know what you're talking about, and I kind of knew going in it was going to be offensive. So,
I did not know it was coming. Okay.
So, Bureau of Missing Persons, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I really liked all the whip pans in this movie. So there's this thing that they do, like, to do transitions in the films. They would go from one scene to the other. The camera would just whip over, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're in another scene. I really thought that was cool.
I have no recollection.
Okay.
But I honestly believe only because of how many other things I watched. And like, I can't tell the difference between half these black and white things. Luckily, is it the next thing is color?
Oh,
yes, the next thing is color.
Yeah,
there's only two color things in this episode. It's both animated.
That is correct. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna go to the next thing. It was flying down to Rio. Now, before flying down to Rio, we actually got to see two shorts. So one of them was the Silly Symphonies, Disney Silly Symphonies, The China Shop. And then the second one was Laurel and Hardy's Dirty Work, which was a 20-minute short. So the first thing, China Shop. So I have all the Silly Symphonies. I own them all. I have the Disney Treasures on DVD. I'm a big fan. I have Disney theatrical short posters in my house. I have a couple Donald Ducks and a couple Mickey Mouse shorts, so I'm a big fan. China Shop is not one of their well-known Silly Symphonies, but I think it's a really pleasant and fun.
It's fun. This is a flex.
Yeah.
I'm watching this and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is from 33?
Yeah.
Or 34?
Yeah.
This,
well, it wasn't 33.
This looks
was what
fucking
about,
phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's so fucking
I love
dirty.
the way this animation style looks. It's kind of got this rounded drawings and characters, and it just looks so good. And it's essentially in the China Shop, it's just an old man owns a China shop, and at the beginning of the movie, it says "Fine China," and he leaves, and all of a sudden, now that he leaves, the clock is like, "Hey, everybody, let's wake up!" And then everyone kind of does their thing, and there's a bad guy, and he takes the girl, and then all the China gets together, and they start
Here's what they should do.
Yeah.
Here's what should happen. On the next time they put out Toy Story, just put this in there. It's the fucking Toy Story prequel.
Yeah.
Okay? They all come alive. They have adventures. There's no dialogue in this entire thing, though.
Most of the
So I'm not sure if they can talk.
Most of the Silly Symphonies, they didn't have a lot of talking. It was just mainly music. And and it's just a beautiful short, and it's really cool.
There's another Silly Symphony that maybe I watched just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
Called Grasshopper and the Ants that had a bunch of talking.
Yeah,
and singing and shit like that.
Well, that one has the voice of Pinto Kovic, which is the voice of Goofy. And when he says, "The world owes me a living."
Yeah.
And if you watch a lot of Goofy shorts, he says that in there. But they pretty much just put that in there as Goofy saying that. But yeah, cool. So Goofy says that a lot. Anyways, for this one, I love the end of China Shop because at the end, the old man comes back and most of the stuff is all broken, and he's like, "Oh no!" But then he writes antiques and he marks everything up.
Yeah, and even the two main characters are all smashed up, and I'm like, they weren't smashed up in the fucking short. Why are they all smashed up now? What happened? They are made of China, and they get in like an actual fight. And I'm like, this fight should be a one-punch fight. Okay, China is not strong.
Yeah. So Dirty Work is a short. Well, Laurel and Hardy, they are chimney sweepers or whatever, and they go clean the chimney of a crazy old doctor.
It's like a mad scientist.
Yeah. Who's going? It's weird, and they're going to and he's trying to create like a fountain of youth thing where he's trying to make people younger is what he's trying to do.
A serum of some sort that makes you. You have to bathe in it, I guess.
Right. And so what you do is, and so what they do is they just Laurel and Hardy are there and they're cleaning the chimney and they can't do anything right like usual. I'll get more into. I'm
sorry. Did we star rating the short? We're not going to bother? Okay.
I guess we don't need to.
Okay.
I will go more into when we do Sons of the Desert, my history with Laurel and Hardy.
Okay.
But this short, so I'm a big Laurel and Hardy fan. I've been a member of the fan club since '84.
Oh, wow.
8 years old. I love Laurel and Hardy. My grandpa got me into it, so I guess I'm going to history now.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we're doing a Laurel and Hardy. So now it makes as much sense.
So my
we'll
grandpa
talk about it some more later.
My grandpa got me into. So my grandpa used to work at KSTP, the ABC affiliate network in St. Paul. And so he was like a projectionist, and he would get all the films together and stuff, and make sure they're ready to show on for the movies. And he had all these Laurel and Hardy stuff, so he showed me a couple of them because he got them on VHS, and I loved them so much. For Christmas when I was 6 years old, he made a copy of every single Laurel and Hardy feature and short that they had at KSDP and put them on 7 VHSs.
Holy shit, that's cool as hell.
Yeah, and I watched them over and over and over again. So by the time I was 7, I've already seen like 80 Laurel and Hardy movies.
Wow.
And so I was really into them. And then my dad heard about this Laurel and Hardy fan club, and he's like, do you want to do it? And I'm like, yeah. So I kind of made my dad do this Laurel and Hardy fan club, and I've been going to conventions and stuff since I was young. When I was 17, I entered a Laurel and Hardy trivia contest in New York and got 2nd place.
Wow.
So, yeah. There's all these like 50-year-olds, and here I am. It was the early '90s. I had like long hair, and they're all like, "Who's this whippersnapper kid?" You know, and I'm like, boom, showing all these old people up at the trivia.
Wow,
contest. So,
wow.
Anyways,
Austin, you weren't a virgin. It still makes no fucking sense to me. Okay,
I wasn't at that time. Dirty Work is one of their shorts. It's not one of their most well-known shorts because like the Music Box is probably one of their most well-known ones where they're bringing a piano up the stairs.
Yeah.
This one,
that is a very, very classic.
Yeah. That actually won Academy Award for Best Short Subject back then. So Dirty Work, this was made kind of right after that. So right at this time, both this Dirty Work and Sons of the Desert were right at the peak of their popularity. They were huge at this point. And so it's really interesting to see, because they've already, at this point, in 1927 is when they first became a team. So they were going on for 6 years.
Well, later on, they end up changing companies and they get fucked or something, right?
Yeah. So
all their shit is
in
garbage.
1941, they went to Fox, and their movies were not as good because they didn't have the creative.
That's a lot later.
They didn't have the creative control. Their movies were bigger budget. Most of their films are lower budget. If you like look at like Sons of the Desert compared to like Footlight Parade or something, production's not as crazy.
But then, if I remember from the Abbott and Costello, you told me.
Yeah.
Because Abbott and Costello, they're not even the fucking main characters.
No.
So is that what happened with them?
That's what happened with them.
They're just background guys who do funny shit.
They did.
They get like third-level actors to make some shitty-ass movie.
Yeah. So they have like a love interest between 2 other people, and then Lauren Hardy's like the comic relief, and that's kind of what happened to them. But in these movies, they're the leads. They're the ones that have love interests. They're the ones.
The mad scientist and the butler are there, and they're also funny. Well, the butler's actually fucking hilarious.
I'm actually going to tell you this. This is another reason why I think a lot of Laurel and Hardy stuff works even more than, pardon me for saying, like Three Stooges, Abbott Costello. This is why I like their movies. They allow other people in their films to be funny, where I don't feel like in the other movies, they're really the only funny people in the movies and those other ones.
I understand.
But in here, when in our Laurel and Hardy meetings and stuff, we talk a lot about the character actors that appear with them because they're just as funny sometimes as Laurel and Hardy. In this movie, I think it's a very funny movie. I love this movie. It's really good. Is it one of their best shorts? Probably not. It's like as far as the ratio for laughs. So
I thought it was very funny.
Oh, it's so good.
It's really funny.
Yeah. Well, they have 2 different types of movies that they do. They have one where it's just slapstick humor and silliness and craziness, and then they have their domestic comedies, which is Sons of the Desert.
Yeah,
so they
have lots of feature-length movies.
Right,
they got to have more plot.
Right.
They got to be more of a characters.
Yes.
In this, they're literally just Laurel and Hardy with a job.
Yeah.
And then they just do doofusy shit most of the time.
Well, it's funny. They're trying to clean the chimney, and then there's this like when they're trying to do the extension, and they're putting in that extension, and he broke one of the extensions, so he puts a gun at the end of the extension, and like it goes off, and
Hardy gets hit.
Yeah, he's like
by that broom thing or whatever. By that. I don't know, the
extension,
pole,
yeah.
whatever you want to call it.
Oh yeah, it just cracks me up. But then there's a scene where they're like doing like a tug of war. Stan pulls Hardy down the chimney, and he goes all the way down, and all the bricks fall on him. You know what I think is funny about Laurel and Hardy too? You know the gags are coming. You know what's coming, and when it comes, it hits. But it hits slightly different than you thought it was going to hit.
I didn't think the whole chimney was going to fall apart.
When the bricks fall down, it's like boom, 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 and he looks up. And then he looks down, and like you thought it was going to hit him in the face, and boom, it hits him again. You know, it's just like...
One of them does hit him like that when he looks up, but then he got hit again. He gets hit like 12, 15 times.
Yeah, and they just... It's just really funny how they land their comedy. And but yeah, so at the end of the movie, the guy there is trying to... He wants to do presentations of his stuff, and he wants to do it on the butler, but so he's trying to get the butler, but he gets Laurel and Hardy to like be witnesses. And at the end, Lauren Hardy like, hey, let's try it out ourselves. And Stan, accidentally knocks Hardy in, and he becomes an ape. So he's a chimpanzee.
That was because he gets in there and he gets like the entire bottle. It's supposed to use like a drop to take you down by like 25 years.
He literally is like a chimpanzee.
But he can talk.
Yeah, well, because at the
and he wears a hat.
Throughout the whole movie, every time Stan does something wrong, he's just like, "Are you okay?" And he's just like, "I have nothing to say."
Yeah.
And so at the very end, that's what the monkey says: "I have nothing to say."
But he never says the other catchpatchphrase of theirs.
Another fine mess.
He never says that in this one.
But I think this is a very funny one. If I had to rate it, it'd be a 3.5 because I just like.
Oh yeah, it's a good. I'm going to give this a 3.5.
It's so good.
You can't sit there and not love it.
Yeah, it's just really funny, and I love there's a famous gag that they use a lot of their movies. They're trying to clean the stuff, all the soot that fell out of the chimney. As he's shoveling it in, he's holding this bag, but he's also holding his overalls. Yeah. And he drops the bag, and his overalls are still open, and he's like.
They're like not painting. They're like looking at something else.
The painting, isn't that a beautiful painting?
Oh yeah. Oh, look at the painting.
And then, but then he's like, putting the soot into all these overalls, like stuff like that, just cracks me up. And the way Ollie breaks the fourth wall, it's really.
Oh yeah, it's just genius.
Yeah,
I understand. It's pure genius.
Flying Down to Rio is the feature.
Flying Down to Rio. This has this is Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers.
It is.
Fred dances a couple of times, but I think only the two of them dance one time together.
Yeah, right.
They aren't they aren't even like in a couple or anything, really. He just happens to like dance with her, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
During a dance scene.
Well, this one actually has two leads in it. So Dolores Del Rio, who was a pretty popular actress at the time, she is the kind of the first build of the movie, and then Gene Raymond plays Roger Bond, who's the main kind of guy star of the movie. But his buddy is played by Fred Astaire, and his name is Fred in the movie.
I think you actually see Fred as like the first character you see.
I think so.
Sorry, it's so fucking early.
Yeah, it is. 11:39. Here we are. Roger, played by Gene Raymond, he's the band leader of this band, and they're getting this new actor. They play like at hotels and stuff, and.
Yes, he is. The main character gets him fired every single time.
Yes,
every time they have any type of gig, an entire fucking orchestra band.
Yeah,
they has to constantly get new jobs, and he gets them fired on the first day every time. And I'm like, how is he not strung up and murdered? Okay, they have no money; they're all dead. I mean, they seem to get money because there's obviously contracts involved. But I'm like, can you just go to your room for 20 minutes, come out, and then you won't have to look at girls for the next hour. Okay?
That's pre-code. He can do that. I mean,
he can.
Yeah.
Technically, they can talk about it. They never really go that far.
No. And there's some musical numbers and stuff. There isn't really any dancing until like halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
I think.
And it's not nearly anywhere as good as later Fred Astaire dancing.
No,
it's okay.
Well, flying down to Rio means because the guy Roger, he has his own plane and he flies.
Down. A plane with a piano in it.
So he does at their latest place in Miami. He actually sees this girl played by Dolores Del Rio, and I don't even remember her name. Like I'm trying to pronounce it, but I don't remember.
She's that rich chick.
She is. So he's like hitting on her, and they dance, but then. She's might be engaged to someone else or the whoever.
She has a fiance.
Yep. So, but Roger doesn't care.
It's one of those things. When we meet the fiance, I'm like, that guy's fine. Okay, he's not like a horrible monster. I expect him to be an asshole.
Honestly, I like him better than the lead guy.
100 times better. 1,000,000 times better. You should not leave that guy for this dude who's almost certainly going to hit another woman.
Okay? Yeah.
He cannot keep it in his pants.
He cannot keep it in his pants. Well, what happens is they're going to go down to Rio for their next job. That's where they got. And normally Fred Astaire flies with him, but he's like, no, I'm gonna trick this lady into coming on the flight with me.
I'm gonna kidnap this woman.
Yeah.
And we're all supposed to like you.
Yep. And then they go down and they had some engine trouble, so they go down into the island, and then some skeevy stuff is happening down there.
Yeah. They think there's cannibals. But instead, it's just people playing golf.
You know what?
Which I thought that was pretty funny.
That joke was actually really funny.
Funny.
So, normally, I think the thing was, and I think the joke probably would have even landed even better in 33, is because back then, if black people were in a movie, they were either servants or cannibals.
We're going to talk about that in a few movies.
Oh, yeah. So, the cannibals... And so as soon as they see black people without shirts on, she's like, oh my gosh, it's cannibals! And then all of a sudden, the main guy gets hit with something. He's like, "What is this?" It's a golf ball. And then one of the black guys comes up and is like, "Hey, that's my ball."
He's got like a British accent.
Yeah, and he's
all hoity-toity.
Yeah, and he's got the this is a caddy tournament, and he's got the golf cart. Cool. That was funny. I thought that was a funny gag. Racist, yes, but it was funny.
I was funny. I was happy that they weren't just white people in blackface because I'm like, good. It's 1934. When we get into the blackface, later.
Again, I knew that was coming because Eddie Cantor's known for blackface.
Okay,
so
I didn't want to tell everybody what movie it was, Austin. You ruined it right now.
I did. They won't remember, or maybe they will. I don't know. Anyway, so they get to Rio, and then they just have a series of like mixed matches and stuff because the guy's best friend is her fiance. That's his best friend, and it was like, oh
yeah,
and which I thought Fred was his best friend, but whatever. It's
weird. I really was like, they're the best friends.
Yeah.
Although Fred doesn't really like him.
No, I don't think so.
So maybe not.
But anyways, Fred Astaire. So and then Ginger Rogers is one of the Honey Hales. She's one of the girls on there, and it seems like I don't know if they're romantically involved, Fred and Ginger, but they seem like they're really close and at least good friends, if not lovers.
It happens during a like big dancing thing when they first dance.
Yep.
And everybody's dancing in Brazil.
Yeah.
And they like get in the middle and dance, and I'm like, they're not really any better than the other dancers in this scene. It's fucking Brazil. They're all like attractive and can dance.
That dance scene was really cool. And then there's and then they're dancing on this weird like thing in the middle that's going around and it's like spinning, and they're dancing and everyone else is dancing around them. I thought that was really cool.
That was cool. That was pretty cool.
And I really liked anytime Fred and Ginger were on the screen, you could easily say, because this was their first screen appearance together, but they weren't really in movies too often. Ginger Rogers was later on in a movie too, Sitting Pretty. But I believe after they shot this movie, the producers over at the studio were looking at this and going, at RKO Pictures, were just like, holy shit, we need to put them in movies, and we don't need to have any other leads because they should be the leads.
Yeah.
Because they kind of steal the movie every time they're on the screen.
That's what I was thinking while watching this. This is kind of like that Abbott and Costello, where they aren't the leads, but they should be. But at this point, it made sense because they were not huge names.
No, they weren't yet. And right after this, they made, in 34, the same year, they came out Top Hat.
Okay.
Which was
okay.
No, sorry, wrong one. Gay Divorcee. And then Top Hat was the next year. Yeah. Both are great movies. I've seen those. Those are really good. This one's not as good, and that's just because they're not the leads. If they were the leads, I think it would have been. It would have been a good movie.
The other Fred Astaire one, where Fred Astaire, just like in most of them, is he's a professional dancer of some sort. In this, I guess he's more just a musician, and he can dance. Okay.
Yeah, but there's some good dancing in it, and the end scene with the flying when the girls are on the planes, that was awesome.
I'm trying to remember it now.
Oh, how can you not forget it?
I'm trying to remember because I watched 13 Things, asshole.
I can't unsee that. It's just there's a bunch of girls on the planes, and they're like,
Okay.
The big musical number, and they're all dancing on there. And it's funny because before it happened, you see one of the girls about to be sick. She's like, I'm like,
they would show long shots of people just on planes, and then they would have rear screen shots where they're like dancing, and I'm like, because if you did in that plane, you're dead. Okay,
right?
You did the flight.
Oh my god, I would have died of a heart attack. I would have fainted on there.
I'd be terrified just with the rear screen behind me, making me think I was on a plane flying. Okay?
No, I thought that was funny. Ginger Rogers is up there, and they're all singing and dancing, and I thought, and just the quick cutting and stuff. I thought that was a really clever, really fun sequence. I really like that. So the reason I am not giving this a 3 stars, 2 words: Gene Raymond. I did not like his character. I didn't like him as an actor.
No.
I couldn't stand him.
I don't know if he made other stuff.
He did. Oh, here's an interesting fact about...
But obviously, Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers got a million times bigger than he ever was.
Here's an interesting fact about Gene Raymond. Gene Raymond, at this time, too, I think, was married to Jeanette MacDonald, who was the main star in Broadway Serenade.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
and that's why he doesn't know how singing works.
I knew you were going to say that because you didn't like his singing. I did.
God damn it! I think his ears were broke.
Yeah, but they were married. They were married until she passed away.
Oh wow!
So they were married for like 30 years or so.
That's cool.
But anyways, I didn't like his character. There's something about his eyes, the way they like get all beady when he's like looking at girls. I'm like, I couldn't stand him. He's very unappealing.
I was almost too convinced that this guy was a skeevy piece of shit. And I'm like, that guy's an actual skeevy piece of shit. But maybe he isn't if he
and
had the same wife for 30 years.
The way they wrap it up at the end, because they're like, okay, he's gonna, the girl is gonna marry the best friend, who's Julio Ribeiro is the character's name, but Raul Rulian plays him. I'm like, great. So the right person's gonna end with the right person. Nope. At the very end, he's like, no, you should marry Roger Bond, and I'm like, what? They absolutely should not be together.
No.
There was nothing in the movie thought that they should be together.
It makes no sense.
Makes no sense.
It's the kind of thing like some of these old movies will drive me crazy because I'm like, no, you're bad people.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Don't go with the obvious worst person. Go with the guy who can hold down a job or is just independently wealthy and is 100 times better looking and is not terrible.
The previous movie had an unlikable person, but I was having a blast watching him. I was not having fun watching this guy. He was just...
He isn't fun, Skeevy. I mean, I'm watching this.
He's not fun, Skeevy.
Fun Skeevy that's a thing.
It is a thing, fun Skeevy. Yeah, no, it's just, but yeah, anytime he was on screen, he was so bland and stuff. I was really digging the first half of the movie, but as soon as they got on that island and they were like having that romance stuff, and I'm like, can we just go back to Fred and Ginger? Because
the island stuff was funny, but it was mostly funny because it did the twists.
Oh yeah,
I didn't like that he had essentially kidnapped her.
Yeah.
But then like that, and I'm like, but then also, I am just terrified of small airplanes, and I'm like, and then it gets freed up, and I'm like, well, there's dead. How is the rest of the movie gonna happen? Because they're gonna crash. But they're flying to fucking South America. So it's a real long flight.
At the end of the movie, I was like, I think I'm going to give it a 2 because I don't like it. But then the flying stuff happens, and I loved that. I thought that was great. Cool. So I am going to give it a 2.5 out of 4.
That's a lot of these movies are going to do that, where they aren't particularly the best thing in the world, but then there'll be like some crazy giant production number, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, that was really fucking cool. That was cool. But I wish the rest of the movie didn't make me want to just like fall asleep. Okay.
Yeah. So this one was, I don't know, that one, it just bothered me, that guy. If it wasn't for him, if it had a different lead actor, I think I would give this a 3. Because I actually like the movie itself. I think it's well made, well directed by Thornton Freeland. And I really liked the musical numbers, especially the scene on the dancing girls on the plane at the end. So I'm going to give it a 2.5 because it's worth it for that. But man, I really didn't like Gene Raymond.
Yeah, I think 2.5's right. What I would say, though, we live in 2023/2024, whenever you listen to this. Yeah. Just fucking go to YouTube and try to look up that plane thing for the end of this movie. Yeah. And you're like, fine. And there you go. That's all you need to do.
That's really all you need to do is watch it. Yeah. So next one is Sherlock Holmes, and that's when we were looking at the paper, like, what the hell? There's a Sherlock Holmes movie.
It's just called Sherlock Holmes, but I mean, there's a new Sherlock Holmes movie every 6 weeks. Okay?
Seems like that, yeah. So this guy is Clive Brook, and I guess he played him on, it was based off the play.
Based off a play. This is not based on any of the actual canonical Sherlock Holmes stories.
Well, yeah, and I also think it's a modern take on it because I don't think
it takes place in the 30s.
Yeah, so it's not like the horse and buggy Sherlock Holmes.
Yep, it does not.
And he doesn't wear his normal hat.
Well, that hat thing was only from some of the movies. That was not a thing from, like, the stories. Really.
Oh, okay. That was like Basil Rathbone probably did that.
The stalker hat.
Right.
And this, I mean, you got a picture right there. He's just wearing a fucking hat.
Yeah, this
one's weird.
It's weird.
This is not what I consider to be Sherlock Holmes.
No, not at all. Not saying that it was bad, because I actually kind of got a kick out of the movie. So
I didn't, mostly because I like Sherlock Holmes, and this got everything wrong about Sherlock
Holmes. Yes. Okay. I feel like because this felt more just like a noir detective movie.
Yeah.
And
I guess
if you take it at that, I thought it was really directed well, stylish, and anyways, so it's Sherlock Holmes. It's Moriarty's on trial and he goes to jail, and then he's like, I'm going to go revenge on everybody.
Which I'm going to tell you, nope, that's not how Moriarty works. No. Moriarty is, first of all, doesn't get caught. No. He's fucking Moriarty. Okay, this is not how Moriarty works. No, it's not how Sherlock Holmes works. No, Sherlock Holmes has a fucking fiance in this. I'm like, no, Sherlock Holmes likes women only in theory. Okay.
And also Watson is a very supporting character in this movie. He's like in 2 scenes in the movie.
And
he's hardly in it.
And he's the worst version that I don't like of Watson.
And
where
apparently,
he's a complete fucking imbecile.
Well, and apparently the guy who plays him, Reginald Owen, he played Sherlock Holmes in a later movie, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I believe if you can see, here's a white British guy, he's going to play Sherlock Holmes at some point in his career. Okay?
But Yeah, so Moriarty escapes from prison, and then Sherlock Holmes is like just trying to find ways to. Well, he's about to get married and retire and be a farmer.
Yeah. Like, nope. Stupid.
Yeah. So, but then what happens is he's like, you know what? I have to find Moriarty, and the judge
breaks out.
Well, the judge dies, who sentenced Moriarty, and then they're like trying to figure out who did it.
I do like that Moriarty essentially gets like a legion of supervillains.
He does
from all around the world.
He does get a legion of supervillains, and then Sherlock Holmes frames himself, which I thought was really clever because at first I was just like, oh shit, he's shooting first, and what an asshole! I don't like this guy, and I'm like, oh shit, he's still alive. That was a ruse.
The Sherlock Holmes stuff that he actually does, Sherlock Holmesian stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. He's also got like a kid sidekick too. Sure.
Yeah, that's actually a thing too.
Oh, it is. Okay.
He has there's like a whole. I can't remember what they're actually called, but there's like a whole squad of these street kids that he gets to help.
So, so there's a big confrontation at the end where he's confronting Moriarty because because Sherlock Holmes actually didn't get arrested. He was just appeared to be arrested for murder that didn't happen.
I mean, he's good friends with all the cops. They aren't going to like arrest Sherlock Holmes.
The opening scene with the sentencing I thought was really well shot, and I really like the guy who plays Moriarty, Ernest Torrance.
The guy who plays Sherlock Holmes feels like a Sherlock Holmes. Yeah. It's just he's written weird, okay? Because of his weird, at the end he literally does retire. Yeah, and I'm like, Sherlock Holmes doesn't fucking retire because crime still exists. He's a fucking superhero.
At the beginning though, I really like a lot of the camera angles and the shadows and stuff that they use at the trial. The first scene with Sherlock Holmes, I was like, oh, I don't know if I like this. It was really stuffy and really kind of boring. And the way he delivers his lines, Clive Brook, and I'm like, what the hell? His portrayal grew on me as the movie went on. And it's a short movie. If this was a 90-minute movie, I probably wouldn't like it as much. But it's like an hour and 8 minutes.
That would add far too much time.
But I really like the prison break scene. I thought was edited so well. Like, it does these quick cuts of like people in prison like looking behind their bars, and then you see like close up of footsteps going down the stairs, and it's just really quick cuttings of really great shots. And I thought that was awesome. Added to the tension. I really liked the band of supervillains.
Oh God, one of them's from Chicago, and he's like literally just a fucking.
Well, then there's
literally just got fucking gangster.
Well, and then there's this 8-minute scene where he goes and tries to like muscle this one bartender guy who was hilarious. That guy was just like, oh, I don't want to buy protection. I don't need protection.
Oh yeah, that was actually really fun.
Yeah, and then what's a pineapple? What's a bomb? It's
because
that was
the mobster's idea when he showed up. Here's how we do this. We just become a protection racket. He doesn't say the word protection racket.
Yeah.
But he's essentially running a protection racket.
We give him a pineapple, but it's a bomb.
But it's not fucking Chicago. And they're like, what are you fucking talking about? No. I've never had any problems here before. Why do I have to pay you? Yeah. And the gangster's just like, I don't think the guy doesn't seem to understand that all these things that are going to happen to his place are going to happen because of me. Yeah. Okay? He's paying me not to burn his place down. There's a scene, but he doesn't understand.
Well, there's a scene where they actually do bomb the place, and the bartender and a guy is in there, and they're talking to each other, and it's just that conversation is so funny because they're so proper. They're like, oh, this guy came in, and he thought he was going to muscle me, and blah, 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 blah. And then boom, the place explodes. And then what did they give them for fruit at the hospital? A pineapple. I thought that was funny.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because they threw a grenade in there or something. Goes, oh, we already had one of those.
Yeah. As a mild diversion, I actually recommend the film. I think I understand that it's not faithful
to the Sherlock Holmes. I actually don't think it's bad. I just wish it wasn't Sherlock Holmes.
Right. Yeah, if this was called something else. But if you don't...
If you just said it was... Even if you just changed some of the letters in Sherlock Holmes and said, it's a parody of Sherlock Holmes, I would enjoy it a lot more.
If you don't mind, it's going to take a lot of liberties with the source material. Too many liberties, you might say.
I might say.
Yeah, but if you don't mind that, I think this is a fun little B, kind of like a Silver Whip. This is like that was a B Western. This is like
I don't think it's as good as Silver Whip. I like Silver Whip a lot for some reason.
Yeah. Okay. It is good. Yeah, it's not quite as good, but I'm still going to give this a 3 because I did enjoy...
I'm going 2.5.
Okay, that's not bad, though.
As a guy who mostly complained about stuff, that shit with the gangster stuff
Yeah.
I really enjoyed
And then
the
I
show.
thought the
But that
end...
might be my American in me.
Oh,
I'm
I did think
hey,
it's-
the American guy's awesome.
Oh, I thought that was funny too with when Sherlock Holmes when he dressed in drag and pretended to be the old granny.
That happens like in every third Sherlock Holmes.
Right. But
It doesn't matter.
I thought it was funny in this one too. I thought it was a mild diversion, so I'm gonna give it a mild 3 stars. But I am gonna recommend it. I did like it. I thought it was good, and I really liked the photography, and it was
this
stylish.
was just on YouTube. Just go look it up. You have to dig through all the other Sherlock Holmes movies you're gonna find on YouTube because the 30s have probably got 80 of them. Okay, one's made in America, some made in UK. There's probably some Chinese ones. I don't know.
Our next one is Meet the Baron. And this stars Jack Pearl and Jimmy Durante. And this is the one that has the Three Stooges in it. It also has comedian Zazu Pitts, who I'm a big fan of because of, like I said, the Thelma Todd Zazu Pitts comedy shorts. Really funny.
I didn't know who Jack Pearl was.
I didn't know who Jack Pearl was either.
But apparently, by watching this, I'm like, he must have been a name because he's like as top billed as Jimmy Durante.
He was.
And we all know who Jimmy Durante is.
This is a weird movie.
It is weird.
So Jack Pearl and Jimmy Durante are two guys. They're stuck in the jungle with the Baron Munchausen, famous Baron Munchausen. And apparently the Baron's been lost for 10 years.
Well, the Baron Munchausen is just a fictional character from like the 1780s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But this also takes place in the 1930s,
yeah.
So Baron Munchausen is a modern person.
It is a modern person, yeah. So, but anyways, so they're stuck in there, but then he's annoyed with Jimmy Durante and Jack Pearl. Jimmy Durante's character is Joe Magoo. He doesn't want them anymore. He doesn't want them around because they're also running out of water. So he deserts them in the middle of the night, and they wake up and they're like, "Shit!"
That note was hilarious.
Yeah.
The note was really funny.
Yeah. And but then they get found and Jack Pearl gets mistaken for being the Baron Munchausen. Not really sure how.
I'm not sure how.
No.
And also Jimmy Durante mistaken as a native that he's trained, and I'm like, what?
The cannibals.
But there's no blackface.
No. But
they just assume he's an
yeah.
African guy.
But then there's cannibals, but then they're not really cannibals. They're kind of guides.
It's the second time where you have non-cannibals. They assume there's cannibals.
Yep.
And then it's just people that are just walking around.
Yep. But then what happens is now that the Baron's back, he's going to go speak at this college. So he goes to speak. So he's going to be the guest of honor at this college.
Seems to be in the U.S. somewhere.
Yep.
It's some U.S.
And
college.
Jimmy, it's what is Cuddle College? Is it Cuddle University?
Something
it was
like that.
It was Cuddles. It was funny.
It's in the States.
Cuddle College, that's it. And so, Jimmy Durante's the manager of Baron Munchausen now, and they're like famous. So, I mean, he's waving at the parade, but Jimmy Durante's raving too. And I'm like, they don't even know who the fuck you are. You're not Baron Munchausen. What are you doing?
No, he's Jimmy Durante.
He's Jimmy Durante.
He's the only one I give a shit about. Of those two. Later on, I give much more shits about 4 other people.
Well, so then there's the janitor, Ted Healy, who was the creator of the Three Stooges, but he ended up not being a member of the Three Stooges.
Well, he dies in 37, so that would be a reason.
But then
you got to be a member of these things when you're dead.
Then you got Mole, Larry, and Curly. They're his prodigy guys, and so they're the Three Stooges. So they're always running around doing crazy stuff.
I had never seen anything where they were with Ted Healy before.
No, I haven't either.
Ted Healy is just another one of the Stooges, but he's kind of like Alpha Mo.
He is.
He's just Mo, but even a bigger jerk.
It was weird,
but maybe legitimately not as stupid.
It was weird seeing Mo not the alpha in this.
He seems to be like second in command.
Yeah, but he didn't have a whole lot to do.
No.
The rest of the film is just a series of just sketches and skits and stuff.
Over and over. There's a love interest, which I appreciated. The love interest, just a normal looking person.
Well, that's Zazu Pitts. She's the comedian.
Yeah.
And that she is I love her.
Oh, she
kind of sounds like Olive Oil. She's like,
I noticed that while watching. I'm like, is this because I'm like, but this is where they started making those cartoons.
Yeah, it was. It was when they started.
All these characters that we've all grown up with, those voices are based on people that we do not remember.
Yeah, absolutely. So this movie's short, which is fine, and I think it's short and sweet, and I think I laughed in this movie.
I laughed a lot, but I laughed the most when the Stooges.
Oh yeah, the Stooges were great. I think the Stooges were really good.
This is also the first of the ones where there is almost nudity.
Oh my god.
Really close to nudity.
There's some musical numbers in it. The first musical number is like when the Baron's arriving and everyone at the college is singing. I thought that was really funny. But then there's a scene when they're in like the female bathhouse and the girls are showering.
Yeah.
And the way they have those sideways showers and it's like a full shot.
They're naked,
but the water, the steam of the water is covering up their bits.
Yeah.
And It's so I thought it was hilarious. That was funny.
I was like,
I love the choreography.
It took till now, and I'm like, this is pre-code Hollywood.
Absolutely.
Because I'm like, in 3 years, no, you go to fucking prison for trying this shit.
Even a year or 2 years later.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No, I thought that was. I love that. And you could watch that on YouTube too, I think. But that shower musical number is really funny. I really enjoyed that.
And then but then the Stooges are going in there because the water stopped working.
Yeah.
And so
they have to blindfold
them.
They
have to put on blindfolds. And they're like, no, they can't see anything. The moment they walk in, there's a dime on the ground. It's a dime! And I'm like, oh, I love it.
And then there's even a scene where they're like chasing the women.
Dogpiling that dime.
And they're also chasing the women too in there and stuff. And I thought that was really funny. But yeah, I really liked the Three Stooges in it. And it's funny because I'm not a big Three Stooges fan, but I think in a short... The thing is, when I was a kid, Three Stooges were shown all the time on TV, and a lot of their shorts, unlike Laurel and Hardy, I think Laurel and Hardy's stuff from one movie to the other is different enough where I feel like the Three Stooges is kind of the same thing over and over again, and that's kind of my issue with them.
I mean, in a version of, if there's a Three Stooges short where they are chimney sweeps, the entirety of it would be them doing chimney sweep stuff. There wouldn't be the other characters. Other stuff. There would be other characters, but they would mostly just walk into a scene.
They wouldn't be funny either.
They would do stuff and then they would leave, and it would just be the Stooges.
Yeah,
which I'm fine with.
But the one that and this is a staple, the slapping and stuff, Three Stooges. But the first slap that Ted Healy does when he slaps all three of them, that was funny. I laughed really hard at that.
That was like,
I was like, boom, 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 and I'm like, yes.
It's like he hits them all.
Yeah,
and that was when they had already perfected that Foley work for that slap.
Yes,
because it was awesome.
It was really funny.
But Mo did hit the fingers into Curly's eyes.
Yes, he did.
I don't know if that was a doink.
I didn't hear a doink.
I don't think it was a doink. Ends up with a doink later.
Right. I liked and Jimmy Durante. I thought was fun. I like his delivery.
I actually did. I actually liked Jack Pearl.
Oh, as the Baron.
Fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't know who he was, but I'm like, he's got his own personality. Yeah. He's his own thing. Yeah. And it's actually pretty weird.
Yeah.
And, at one point, because Jimmy Durante is the manager, they're hired to be on, the radio. And he says, you get 1,000 words. And he's, counting. He's tallying up the words.
Yeah, there's just
in the next room.
Tallies,
And then the moment he gets to 1,000, he sits down. Oh, good. And then he realizes he's still talking. I'm like, it happened mid-sentence, moron.
Yeah.
He's not counting.
And then a lot of the humor with Jack Pearl reminds me a lot of the Chico Marx humor. Is that all the stuff he says is kind of like, he says something but it means something else. But then it's kind of double talking kind of thing.
Cantor's going to do that later. I think Pearl did it better.
But yeah, Meet the Baron. It's a slight comedy. It's not really a great movie as far as story or anything. But you don't really watch this movie for story. You're just watching it for the gags.
It's an hour and 8 minutes. You can basically just watch this, have it on the background, and then when you're tired, sit down for 5 minutes, watch it. Yeah. You're probably amused, and then you can go back to work. I'm
actually also going to give it a mild 3 stars because
I'm going to give this one 3 because I actually liked almost all of it. There is the weird cannibalist. But once again, at least for that one, they're in Africa.
Yeah.
And they weren't fucking cannibals.
Yes.
Okay?
So that makes sense.
And I guess having grown up, I consider the cannibal trope to be a Pacific Islands thing.
Yeah, I would say
but
so.
I don't think of it as an African thing.
No.
Apparently that's what they thought at the time, you know what I mean?
But no, I think it was fun. And there's a lot of musicals that we were watching.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the things I want to talk about. At this point, I was thinking this is actually relatively early after talkies.
Yeah.
And so one thing you can, because if it's just dialogue, you don't need a talkie for that. It doesn't hurt.
Right.
But you can just do it. But for music, for singing, nope, you got to fucking hear it. So they're going to put it in every one of these movies except for Sherlock Holmes. Okay?
Yeah.
Bureau. I guess Bureau of Missing Persons. But literally every other one of them.
Yeah, Sons of Dutch has a musical number.
Yeah. They all have musical numbers.
Meet the Baron. I thought it was a slight movie, and I would watch another Jack Pearl, Jimmy Durante film for sure.
Yeah, it was fine.
That was cool.
I thought it was pretty fun, actually.
Yeah, I did too. Footlight Parade. This is probably the biggest budget of the movies that we're watching. This was a big Warner Brothers musical. Flying Down to Rio too, maybe, but
yeah, Roman Scandals is a period piece-ish.
It is, but I feel like the production was better in this.
Probably,
though. This is directed by Lloyd Bacon, And, of course, our buddy Busby Berkeley does the musical numbers in this.
The musical numbers in this are good. The movie itself is just fucking standard trash.
Oh,
I'm sorry to say.
I actually like this movie quite a bit.
I know. I figured. I knew watching all these 34 movies, Austin's going to love all these movies.
I am going to say this.
Like almost any
so,
of them.
just a aside, going back to the 30s and stuff and seeing all these movies, this was one of my favorites. I loved just watching all of these movies and seeing the history, and I just had a blast watching all these films, even the ones that I didn't really care for as much. Okay. But I thought it was just really fun to sit through and watch these. So I had a blast, because I haven't seen as many movies from the 30s, so kind of watching this and watching like the pre-code stuff, I was getting a big kick out of it. It's funny, so in this movie, it starts off where, like, silent films are dead and the talkies are taking over. Now he's like, now what are we going to do? Because... talkie films, no one wants to go see my musicals. Well, we'll do these prologues before a movie, and they'll have like dancing girls and stuff like that. And
which I'm like, okay, doesn't seem to happen in any of these movies. Where there's like a little short prologue.
Yeah.
But okay.
So it's,
they're shorts, but they are
right. And he's always coming
shorts.
up with different themes. It was like, oh, we got to do this. Oh, we got to get the slave girls. We got to get the Shanghai. We got to do.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to show that slave girl with blackface, but they didn't.
No.
I thought it was coming.
I mean, there's yellowface later in it.
Yeah. So he's this guy that's just trying to get things made, and he's got a secretary played by Joan Blondell, who it's obvious that they should be together because they just have a great chemistry, and you can tell that he likes her and she likes him, even though he doesn't know he likes her.
It's so Hollywood tropey where he doesn't realize that she loves her, but we're not fucking imbeciles, so we don't know she loves her. Okay,
right, but then of course she likes,
and he's got the hots for this fucking other chick who's like her friend and blah. And I'm like, I've seen this movie before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, this is a typical backstage musical where you have all these different people. You know, you got the new singer coming in, you got the secretary with the glasses on, but when she takes her glasses off, now she's going to be a star. It's
God, that's right. That truly does happen.
Yeah, I liked her too, Ruby Keeler.
Well, yeah, really but also they all like it was this very standard, like, oh yeah, blah blah blah, and I'm like, this is one of the few times where I'm like, they're acting like she's not attractive, and then I looked around and I'm like, those other women are pretty fucking hot.
I actually like Ruby Keeler with the glasses.
Oh, but she is. Yeah. But this movie is chock full of hotties. Okay.
And actually, this whole episode is a lot.
God, there's so many. Later on, it gets real close.
Yeah.
Real close, baby.
The movie climaxes with, because he's trying to get signed or whatever. And so to keep his job for doing prologues, they come up with 3 big musical numbers that they're going to preview. And the way they do it is like, they're like, okay, we got to go to this theater. And then everyone gets dressed. Oh, go to this theater. Everyone gets dressed. And then there's 3 musical numbers at the end of the movie that are...
Well, there's one musical number before those 3.
Oh, that they're rehearsing with the cats.
Fucking, it's not just the cats.
It's so good.
That's just fucking cats.
I love it.
It's like watching it, I'm like, this is as insane as the Cats movie.
Well, then they have those
outfits are so fucking off the top.
And then they got the little person. They got the little person coming with the bottle.
Oh God, it's
with the
that is
the sets
so
are great.
Fucking insane. The Cats thing when I saw that, because they were talking about it.
Yeah.
He was talking about we're gonna do Cats, and I'm like, are they going to do fucking cats in this movie?
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're doing cats! They're wearing cat outfits! And they got stupid tails! And that, actually, I would say the guy who I found him really funny, the choreographer guy in this.
Oh, he was awesome.
He's so, like...
I really liked him.
So put upon.
I think his name is Frank McHugh.
All the time. He's so put upon. And he's no good at his job.
No, I really liked him.
Every time he would try to do a dance... I'm like, oh, wow, you're real bad. And then Cagney would do a little dance. He did the... Because... Yeah. Okay, now we're going to talk about my history, my love of the musicals.
Okay.
Back in the 90s, I lived with my grandparents.
Yeah.
Okay, for like 6 months. And I would mostly just sit in my room and I would watch TV. And one day, a little movie called Yankee Doodle Dandy popped up.
Oh, yeah.
Holy fuck, did I love that movie.
Yeah, that's good.
And it was a Cagney movie, and he was singing and dancing, and I'm like, this movie has blown me off the top. I'm watching this, and I'm like, okay, we're going to watch another Cagney musical. Yankee Doodle Dandy blows this fucking thing out of the water.
Well, yeah, it's a different
And when
movie.
Cagney dances a couple of times in this, and not until the end does he do a full actual
musical
dance
number. Yeah.
He does that weird dance thing he does in that because he's like wearing lifts.
Yeah.
So he dances real fucking weird.
Yeah.
Okay? But he dances good weird.
Yeah. No, I really like this movie, and I love the musical numbers at the end. Busby Berkeley has some great choreography.
Oh, yes. The 3 musical numbers, I do have notes on them.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, also, the choreographer at one point says, I'm not a Superman. And then I was sitting there thinking, wait, 1934? Superman's not till 1938. They just said the word Superman.
Yeah.
Not anywhere, not a reference to the character of Superman.
No.
Just weird.
Yeah.
Okay, the three shorts, what are they? I think it actually told us up here. The Be a Waterfall. That was the closest to naked. That was a bunch of chicks.
That was the second one. Honeymoon Hotel was the first one.
God, the Honeymoon Hotel goes on for 16 weeks.
That was a brothel.
It's the same.
That was a brothel.
It was a brothel. The Honeymoon Hotel, yeah, you basically are buying a fiance.
Yeah.
For one night.
Right. They go
but
there.
they are dancing,
yeah.
And then they sing that same fucking song for the entirety of it. And then the Shanghai Lil, the same fucking song with different lyrics.
Shanghai Lil.
Shanghai Lil is just that white woman.
Yeah.
In yellow face.
Yeah.
And talking in a horrible accent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh boy, I wish I didn't like this song so fucking much.
But that waterfall, when they do that human waterfall and they're doing the underwater photography, it's so fucking
It is really
cool.
good.
It's
that
so
is actually,
good. I love it.
That was when I'm like, oh fuck, they really threw some fucking money at these last three things.
Awesome. It's so good. And what's funny about this, these are the previews that are the prologues that are playing in the theater. How the fuck are they doing this in the theater?
No.
You can't put that on stage. It's like...
Well, that's what I was wondering. When he said the prologues, I'm like, are they filming this?
No, they're doing it live. It's
this
a live
thing. I know. And then I realized, I'm like, no, they're not doing this live.
But that's what's kind of funny to me about it.
There's like edits.
Right.
And they're swimming.
Yeah.
They're swimming. It's a movie theater. There's no swimming pool, you morons.
No. I thought it was funny. That's what's funny and it's ridiculous.
That's why when we traveled to 1934, there wasn't actual fucking preludes of a bunch of singing and dancing.
No, it was really silly.
But it happens early on where he's lamenting that the talkies are now. He says it like 3 times.
Yeah.
It's all a fad. Talkies, blah, blah, fad. And I'm like, and then at that point I was thinking, is this going to be about the fact that talkies put a whole bunch of fucking theater people out of work?
Yeah.
No. In this, they tried to make the theater people just have a new job.
Yep, that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah. So James Cagney in the film, it's funny because he wanted to do something different. He's like, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to be in this movie and still act exactly how he did in those gangster movies.
Exactly. Exactly as angry all the time. That's why he's so much better in Yankee Doodle Dandy.
I do like him in this movie, but and I got a kick out of it because he's pretty much still acting like a gangster.
Oh.
He's like, hey, baby, get over here. And he's like throwing people out. He's still doing
I think there's a chance at this point that's just how Cagney talked.
Right.
I've been doing this for a couple of years now. I can't stop talking this way.
But I really liked Joan Blondell as his assistant. I thought she was really good.
She was great.
She has some great pre-code stuff in the movie too. Was when he's like, "Hey, do you know Miss Rich?" You're like, "Oh, I know Miss Rich." And I was like, "Holy shit!" She almost said "bitch," and that was funny. And then, she says something to her too, where she goes, "Oh, as long as there's sidewalks, you'll have a job."
Oh God!
I was like, "Holy shit!"
That's some of these movies do like.
Yes.
Oh. I was expecting some stuff, but I'm like, oh yeah.
No,
this has gone crazy. But it's mostly, there's the next couple of movies they're basically naked. Okay? And they basically show you they're naked. I'm like, holy shit.
I loved the high energy of this film. I loved all the different cast of characters and the things going on. I was just having a blast. And then when those musical numbers came in, so I was already going to give it a 3. And then when those music numbers came in at the end, I was just completely blown away by them. So it's a 3.5 for me.
Okay, here's the thing. I was
actually
actually finding a movie half boring.
Yeah.
Okay, even when it was Cagney doing Cagney stuff, there was all this
I could
other
not be
shit.
bored
I'm
by
like,
that.
God, I was fucking bored. But then the Cats thing popped up. I'm like,
that was awesome.
Best movie ever. so fucking off the chain nuts.
That was so
and
weird.
And then all 3 of those ending things, I'm like, they're pretty good, except for Shanghai Lil, which is also
that one's fine.
good, but she is in yellowface, and she talks in a shitty Asian accent. I'm like, oh. And this is the one where they used the word Oriental like 1,800 times.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, it's basically, that was the language at the time.
It was the language at the time, yeah.
So, I mean,
for sure.
I'm going with a 3.
Oh!
Mostly because, as far as I'm concerned, just watch the last half.
Okay.
I don't care about the first half.
Okay.
I would say watch Cats and then watch all 3 of those ending things because they're really fucking fun.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. So no, I really.
God, you're right. That hotel, the hotel sex was nuts. But it also went on, and the song was just like, they just keep saying it. They just won't say fuck. Just say you're gonna get laid. Okay, just say it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. I thought it was funny. I thought it was high energy. No, and musical numbers were fun and good. And you got to see James Cagney do his number finally at the end of the movie.
At the end, finally. Cool. It's in the Shanghai Lil, because he's actually in the Shanghai Lil one.
Right. The next movie is Sitting Pretty, and it's probably the slightest of the films.
What do you mean by that? I guess
it's just
I didn't know anybody in this movie other than
Jack Haley and Ginger Rogers.
Ginger Rogers, Jack Haley.
He's the Tin Man.
Oh yeah, but he couldn't recognize him because he's not fucking silver.
Oh, I recognized him right away. It's like,
I guess
this is directed by Harry Joe Brown. Yeah, Jack Oakey was a pretty popular.
We have a short before this.
No,
or is that Roman Scandals?
That's Roman Scandals.
Oh,
yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it's Roman Scandals. So Sitting Pretty. Yeah. Jack Oakey was a pretty popular star at the time, and he ended up being nominated for Best Supporting Actor in Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator.
Oh, okay.
Where he kind of plays a Mussolini parody.
Oh, really?
In that movie.
Okay.
Yeah. So Jack Oakey he was pretty popular. This was early Ginger Rogers, so there's another Ginger Rogers movie is one of the love interest. Thelma Todd, who was in a lot of Laurel and Hardy movies and Hal Roach movies, she plays the one that's kind of trying to break up the two main guys. Jack Oakey and Jack Haley play Chick and Pete, which is Parker and Pendleton. They're musical number. Word
of warning, I don't remember anything about this movie for some reason.
Okay, fair enough.
It just has washed right out of my head.
That's why I said it's the slightest.
I don't remember.
That's what I mean. It's the slightest.
I'm trying to sit here and I'm like, it's basically similar to Floodlight Parade.
Footlight Parade. Yeah.
Except for I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah. They're songwriters trying to make it. They go to Hollywood. They meet Ginger Rogers on the way. And she's got a little, is it brother or son, or you didn't really say. His name is Buzz. He's played by Jerry Tucker, who was a little rascal. And I've met Jerry Tucker at one of the Laurel and Hardy conventions. So I was just like, I know Jerry Tucker.
Not recently.
No, this was like in the
He's fucking 90 years old.
Late 80s, early 90s. I met him. Yeah. Jerry Tucker. They get a job and they get hired, doing musical numbers, writing songs for movies. I mean, there's more stuff that's happening, but then Ginger Rogers. Both of them like Ginger Rogers, but then Jack Oakey ends up falling for Thelma Todd, who's a famous actress at the time. But she, for some reason, just wants to, like, you know what? I think the other guy, Pendleton's holding you back, so Chick, you should go on your own. So then they break up, and then 9 minutes later, they're back together.
Yeah.
And then they get a job.
I couldn't follow. Because nothing in this movie seemed to matter.
And everything is fine. And at the end of the movie, which I thought was cool. So the whole movie, Jack Oakey is like all over Ginger Rogers and wants to be with her. And Jack Haley obviously likes her because it's Ginger Rogers. But he's like, you know what? Chick likes her, so I'm just going to let Chick have her. But then at the end of the movie, Chick goes, hey, I think you should marry Pete.
Yeah, I've already seen this movie today.
And then Ginger Rogers goes, oh, I can't marry him because I married him 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Which I thought was funny.
I just never told you, but I still flirted with you for 2 weeks.
Yes.
I'm shitty.
So, this movie, I don't think it's a bad movie. I actually really liked the first half an hour of the film. The movie opens with a really long take of them like at some studio, and a guy's delivering water to different people, like practicing singing in these different booths. And the way that the camera,
I do remember that.
Yeah, and the camera goes over here to this booth, and the camera goes over here to this booth, and it's like a 2-minute shot, and I'm like, wow, that was really impressive.
And I had just watched all these stuff with good singing, and I'm like, oh, these people aren't very good.
Oh, right, and I think that was the point, though.
Yeah,
that they weren't very.
But that
good.
one guy was loving it no matter what. I remember that.
Right. So that was funny, but yeah. So I thought that was cool. Jack Oakey, he's not super funny in the movie, but he's kind of likable, but he's kind of a jerk too.
Yeah, I'm not even sure this movie's a comedy.
Jack, well, I was smiling, but I didn't really laugh.
I think it's just a movie.
It was. I felt like it was a pleasant film, but it wasn't really a hilarious film. And Jack Haley, I really liked him. He's very likable. In fact, out of all the characters in all these movies, there isn't anything bad about that guy. He is nice. He doesn't do anything bad. You
might not be wrong.
No, Jack Haley is a saint. He's the best fucking person in all these movies.
Well, it's not like Fred Astaire did anything bad.
Not really.
He wasn't around during the weird, the weird cannibalism.
But Jack
shit.
Haley is so nice, and he's even just like, oh, you can have this girl even though I love her. You know, he's just so nice, and I'm so glad the right person ended up with the person at the end of the movie.
That is a good thing.
Because I really didn't want Jack Oakey to end up with Ginger Rogers, so Jack Haley ended up with her, and that was great. I thought that was really cool. But then I felt like it lost its momentum and its steam halfway through the movie when they were breaking up. And then the movie, like, it's only an hour and minutes.
I don't even remember half this shit. I'm sorry to say.
No, it's okay. But it just happens. It feels like scenes are missing from this film when I'm watching this.
It's an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't remember almost any plot of this.
Yeah.
I do remember just not caring because it would seem like the next scene didn't give a shit about what just happened.
Yeah. That's how I felt that second half of the film.
Happening?
But then the musical number at the end was a Busby Berkeley inspired kind of musical number with scantily clad women again.
Yep.
Like, and but they do the overhead shots, of them like doing the fans and all that stuff. And I thought that was a cool musical number.
We got to compete with this shit.
I forgot what the song was called, but I actually did really like that song. I remember I was kind of humming it afterwards. But yeah, this is a slight movie. It's one of those movies you just sit, you kind of watch. And when I was in the theater, I was kind of smiling most of the time. And it's short enough that it was painless. I'm giving it a 2.5 because I did enjoy some of the musical numbers, and I liked Jack Oakie and Jack Haley in the film, and Ginger Rogers. I felt like the movie lost momentum halfway through the movie, so...
I don't remember anything about it. I'm going to give it like 1.5. I can't even it's the most non-memorable movie.
I told you. That's what I meant in the beginning, that this is the slightest of the films.
I don't remember anything about this movie.
Right.
I don't think, here's the thing. In my notes, it just says same song over and over. And I'm like, I don't remember that fucking song. I don't know what the hell I was talking about.
They did the song over and over again.
And I'm like, I don't even remember that song.
All right, we got 2 movies left. Yay!
And a short.
And a short. That's right.
One of them is a movie you're going to be all wet for.
This one.
Laurel
right
and Hardy, yep.
Okay. Well, I already kind of went through my history of Laurel and Hardy, but this is their 4th feature film, Sons of the Desert, that starred just them. Because they were in another movie called The Rogue Song where they were comic relief, like in 1930. That's a lost film.
Oh, okay. I think you mentioned that once before.
Yeah.
Now that we have a time machine, you can go see it. But I said you're not allowed to talk about
Although, some of the scenes are available. Like some of the Laurel and Hardy shorts or scenes are available, but like the whole movie is lost.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, Sons of the Desert, pre-code comedy. Stan Laurel, Oliver Hardy. This was their domestic comedy.
There's nothing pre-code about this, really, though.
Not really. I mean, maybe a little bit for the scantily clad at the Honolulu Baby, a little bit.
Maybe.
With the numbers there.
Yeah, I guess there's some Hulu dancing and shit.
Yeah, but they belong to, essentially, it's the Shriners. It's
well, okay, when I heard the name, I thought this was going to take place in a desert, and they're going to be running around the desert.
Yeah. So they belong to this group, and you don't really know what they do or anything. It's just like we're gonna attend this convention in Chicago, and every man must be accounted for.
Yeah, you have to take an oath.
Yeah.
And nobody's ever broken their oath. The oath is you just have to show up. And I'm like, that's a fucking oath?
Yeah,
what are you talking about? That's not how oaths work. Oath says you gotta go kill this person for me.
Right.
Okay?
Well, Stan and Ollie, but Stan kind of doesn't. He's like, I don't really want to take the oath because what if my wife doesn't let me? And of course, Stan's like, or Ollie's like, hey, you gotta, be the man of the house. Yeah. But then, of course, when he gets to the house, he's like, hey, honey,
honey, I'll do what you say. They do good because he's just gonna lie to her. He's going to tell her the truth. I can't remember what his original plan was.
Yeah.
What he was going to, because he was going to go to that. I can't remember what his original plan was.
But, so she says you can't go. So what happens is he fakes having a nervous mental breakdown. And they hire, Stan gets a veterinarian to come see him. He's like the doctor. And he's like, why did you get a veterinarian? He's like, I didn't think his religion had anything to do with it. That fucking line is so funny.
It's funny.
It's great.
I mean, if you're going to get a vet, why even get anybody with a doctor? Just go get a fucking actor.
Well, it's Stan. Stan doesn't know any better. He doesn't know.
I know.
He's like a child.
Yes, I know. He's like a child, but he is the smarter one of the two.
He is. In a way, it's really funny. That's what I think is funny about their whole repertoire. Anyways, so they end up saying, hey, we got to go to Honolulu, and they end up going to the convention anyways.